In our latest video, we're going to take a look at how to create the bottom of this carabiner pin. So we're going to do a slightly different model here, and what we're going to try to use is a revolution. So let's go ahead and get started. Best practice is we want to go ahead and begin by saving the file, and we'll say pin bottom assembly. We'll go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and close the data panel in order to maximize our screen space. You notice over here on the right side, I have a sketch up with some numbers in it. Next thing we'll do is we'll say new component, and we're going to say pin bottom. And I'll go ahead and start a new sketch. I'm going to start with a vertical line coming from the origin. This line needs to be 1.82. And I can get that number from over here on the right side. I'll go ahead and come out from the top here. And it looks like that line needs to be 0.245. And I'm going to zoom in now and help us out. So I'm going to come down this line, coming straight down, needs to be 0.368. And it appears that the line comes out this way, just 0.04. You see the 0.04 over there. And now it comes down just a little bit straight to 0.075. So I'm going to bring a line down and say 0.075. Now I've got a straight line here that's connecting these 2 points. So I'm going to go now and move to the bottom of this thing. So I'm going to move down to the bottom. So the origin down here comes out over this way. It looks like it's a distance of 0.095. And now I've got an arc. So I'll go to create and I'll say arc. And I'll use a 3-point arc. I'm going to just draw an arc up here for now. It's all going to get dimensioned later, so I'm just going to kind of guesstimate there. So I'll click dimension, and I'm going to say, you know what, this arc is supposed to be 1.5. We got that dimension from there. Now this is a little tricky here as far as what's going to have to happen next. We're going to take and go from this line over now. So I'm going to dimension from the line to the dot. That's a total distance of 0.233 plus 0.035. And there's that. And so now I'll grab my line tool again, and I'm going to come out of the dot that's in the arc to a distance of 0.035. And from here, I'll take my line tool and I'm just going to connect the dots. So I'll go to that end and up here. And now you notice that we've got a defined sketch. If we dimensioned from this point to this point, we should get a 0.813. So 0.813. We can either get that from, from going here to here, or we could actually define it from here to the origin, and that should be 0.563, 0.564 once we round up. We've got the sketch finished, so we'll finish the sketch. Now we're going to revolve it. So revolve that thing and click OK. So there's our pin bottom. So now let's take a look and see what else we've got here. Let's take a shell tool. Let's click the end, and let's rotate to the other end and click it. Let's make that shell a 0.035. So now when we look, we're hollowed out. And let's go ahead and thread up here. So create and say thread. And we'll click on the end. Let's change the size to 0.5625. For designation, we could leave it that way, but in this case, the threads are really, really close together. So we're looking at about 20 per inch. And we'll go ahead and check modeled. And modeled, we'll go ahead and actually 3D model that for us. So we'll click OK. So there we are. At this point, we could go ahead and assign a material if we wanted to. We could right-click on the pin bottom and say physical material. And for physical material, I'll go to plastic. So let's just take a look at an ABS plastic, and we'll put it on there. We can close that. We can right-click here and say, let's change the appearance. Maybe I don't want that particular color. I could go down to paint, choose glossy, and pick a different color. So maybe I want yellow. And we'll go ahead and close that. So we've got the one piece done. We've got 4 steps. So the biggest part was the sketch. Then we did the revolve. Then we did a shell. and then finally we did a thread. Let's go ahead now and let's put a pin grip on there. So I'm going to start a new component. But before I do that, look at where I'm at. I'm in the pin bottom category. So I need to go up here to the top level menu and select the radio button. Now I'll say new component, and I'm going to say pin grip. And I'm going to rotate it in such a way that I can see the lip. And I'm going to say new sketch and click on that lip. And you notice it turned on me, and that's okay. It's trying to help me out, but in this case, it's not really all that helpful. So I've rotated it so I could get back to where I was. And what I'm going to do is project. I'll go to create and say project and project, or I can just press the P key. What I want to do is get the outside circle and the inside circle here. There's that, and I'll press OK. Now technically I'm done with that sketch. And I didn't even have to sketch anything. That's the nice thing about project. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to construct. If I click on there, there are just a ton of options that we could choose, but we're going to use just an offset plane here. So I could also just click the icon. So I'll click that, and if I remember right, if I look back at my dimensions, and let's do that real quick just to show you. If I look back at my dimensions, that is a 0.813 distance away. So 0.813. All right. Now, let's go ahead and rotate so we can draw on that. And I'm going to click new sketch, but I'm going to click on that plane we just put in. So there it is. And for this one, I'm going to draw a circle that is 0.568. And I'll use the offset command up here, and I'll just click there and say let's offset that 0.035. I could, if I wanted to, I could just draw another circle. But let's finish the sketch, and now you see we've got a circle here and here. So we're going to go to create, and we're going to loft. And I'm going to get that ring and that ring, and it will loft those two pieces together. Now if I take a look, it's hard to see, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn the visibility off on the pin bottom. I don't know if you noticed this, but that is a solid shape, so we're going to use shell. Click one end and the opposite end, and I'll shell it at 0.035. If I wanted to, I could turn the pin visibility back on and see that things are going to fit. For right now, I'll leave it off, because what I'd like to do is put some extra grips on here. I'll go up to construct and say tangent plane and just click the side of the grip and click OK. I'll do a new sketch here on it, and I'm going to choose an ellipse. So create and go up to ellipse, and I'll just kind of start in the middle. I'm just eyeballing here. I'm going to draw a straight line and then move it out, and let's dimension this. Let's say from the edge to here was 0.05. From here to the other end of the ellipse should be, let's say, 0.7. And across, let's go from here to here, and we'll say 0.115. So our major axis is 0.7, our minor is 0.115. And I'll go ahead and I'll press E for extrude. Looks like I'm going to rotate that a little bit. I'm going to cut it in. Let's go negative 0.02. Let it do its magic. And finally, what we'll do is we'll do a pattern. So we'll say create, and we'll do a pattern, and we'll do a circular pattern. For object type right here, right now, it currently says bodies. We want to change that over to features, and then click our feature that we drew in, and we'll click axis, and we'll just click the outside. Default is always 3. Let's change it up to 6, and let's press OK. So now we've got our pin grip taken care of. But while we're here, let's go ahead and get those materials set, right? So physical material. And we'll stay with the plastics because rubber falls in that category in Fusion. So we'll go down toward the bottom. There's rubber. We'll just drag the silicone rubber over. And let's go to Let's close this out first. Let's right click over here and say appearance. And let's choose a color here as well. So maybe I'll grab the green. And we'll click close. Now I go ahead and I can turn the pin bottom back on. And I'll go ahead and activate the entire assembly. Now you notice they got a little off. But what we can do is we can apply a joint. We can say joint, hit the middle here. And then we're going to drag this arrow and push that where it belongs. If we look back at our original sketch, that should be a 0.563 offset. And there we go.